Gemini, the twins. Here's your reading for October 2017. As a reminder, guys, this is a general reading, so please take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Also, if you would like to book a private reading, please see the description box with the link there upon how to obtain one. And also, guys, remember that these energies can cross over and the messages can cross over as well. So either this is coming from you or coming to you. So apply it to your guys' unique situation. So let's go ahead and bless the decks and we'll get started. Guardian angels of love and light, ancestors, lost and known in the seas of time, please intercede this reading to provide Gemini with the clarity and direction as to which he or she seeks, and please grant me, the reader, the objectivity to read the cards and relay every single message as they are meant to be. Okay, Gemini, we're coming into the reading with the Nine of Wands or the Nine of Swords reverse. So, Gemini, I can clearly see here that it's a wrap, huh? You are done carrying this burden here, Gemini. I can so see it. It's like, it's a wrap. That's the best way that I can really describe this reading here. And I feel as though, Gemini, like you did somewhat give it all that you had. Like you're just over worrying about this burden. And I don't even want to call it even a burden anymore, Gemini, because I don't even think that it is. I think that's more of like a relief. That's what I'm really feeling. Now, just for the sake of the cards, you could maybe be dealing with a Libra. That's all I'm really seeing so far. Okay, so back to you guys. I feel, Gemini, like things have taken its toll on you, or like that's it. You're ready to drop it, to drop the burden. And I feel you. I mean, you come to the reading with the Nine of Wands reverse or the Nine of Swords. Then the first, see, before we got the coming into the reading card, you had the Three of Wands here, the Three of Swords. And when this popped up, I was just like, okay, they're heartbroken. Usually when this card pops up, it's about like a current situation. And usually the cards that come after it, they usually imply like someone's not really over it. But I can see here, Gemini, like it took its toll. Like it's coming out of this period of heartbreak. And I feel like you're tired of being within that realm. And you have the High Priestess here right in the center, Gemini, of the Three of Swords and Justice. So I feel like here, Gemini, like it was kind of like you kind of came to the conclusion, or you used your intuition and saw that you deserve more. And I'm glad to see that. Because if someone's making you feel like the Three of Swords here, I mean, why would you want to continue on with something like that? And I know, Gemini, that, you know, you're very ambitious and you go forward in terms of what you need and what you want. And I also find it interesting here that the Ace of Swords is right below the High Priestess here. You came to the conclusion and you also properly communicated with yourself, Gemini. Like you said, okay, enough's enough. I have to use my intuition and I have to move forward. You were honest with yourself, Gemini, and I feel like this month of October, like you're going to see how great this really is. And I'm also picking up, Gemini, like you're also going to see or realize somewhat of the errors of your ways, like through this relationship. I really feel like this is a relationship. I mean, well, you can relate this since it's general to anything, a relationship, a partnership. It can be anything of the sort, whether it's family, work, whatever the case may be. But I feel like it's more of probably more of a partnership. But even then, like I said, it's general. So just apply it, guys, to your situation. But you came out of this period, Gemini, and I feel like this spread here really denotes like exactly how it happened, or how it usually, I don't want to say supposed to happen, because we all have different circumstances, but the chronologically the steps as to how it happens. I feel like, coming into the reading with the Nine of Wands or the Nine of Swords here reversed, you were over worrying about this. You were over just sleepless nights. You're over worrying about something that was out of your control in a sense. Like, I really feel like the second party was just not giving you what you needed. And I feel, Gemini, like you did strive for this with justice here, especially. You strive to continue to move forward with it. And I feel like you did all that you really could. And, Gemini, when we do that in life, sometimes we must walk away from the situation, even though we've given all that we could. And to not feel, Gemini, like you're not worth it, or that you weren't worth the second party's time. Because I feel like this, Gemini, had nothing to really do with the second party. I mean, yes, the second party had an influence as to coming up with this resolution, or as to coming up with, this circumstance. But I feel, Gemini, like you made this decision for yourself. And I'm really proud to see that. And I feel, Gemini, like you came to the point where it was like, what's fair? Is it fair that I give more than the other person, or more than the other party? Is it fair that I continue to accept less than that which is given? Because, Gemini, like I usually say in my readings, if you guys have been subscribed to me for a while, or been following me for a while, you guys know that I always mention, when we take more than we give, that's greed. And I feel, Gemini, like the other party was taking more from you than you were, than they were actually giving. And remember, guys, this is general, so this can either be coming to you or from you. But I feel like with the Four of Pentacles here reversed, like you're no longer going to, how can I say, like harbor your self-worth. Like you're no longer going to just give that away. And usually the Four of Pentacles reverses usually doesn't imply a great card. It's not a great card in terms of like a favorable card. But I feel, Gemini, like you're no longer going to give to the situation, like I said before. And I feel like you're going to give more to yourself now. Give more to what is right. Give more to how you see fit. Because obviously the other party didn't fit within that equation any longer. And with the Ten of Fire here, the Ten of Wands reversed, you are dropping that burden. You're no longer viewing this as a burden. You're viewing this as freedom, in a sense. Like you're viewing this as something that has ran its course. Something that no longer needs to be kind of revisited. I'm kind of picking that up. And I feel like going back to communication, in terms of communicating with yourself, Gemini, with the High Priestess here as well, with the Ace of Swords, like you were honest with yourself, or you are, I should say, honest with yourself. And I'm glad to see that. And it's funny how at the end, you are giving, but you're giving to the right person or to the right thing, which I feel like it's yourself. Because with Justice here, this is a very karmic card, but in this spread here, it's okay. Like it's well earned. for you because you dropped it and you realize, and now you're moving forward with this in terms of with yourself. And I feel, Gemini, like this may have been a very karmic relationship or partnership or circumstance for you, but I feel it's in a sense of good karma. I don't feel like it's like learning karma, learning like a learning curve. I feel because it's not a bad karma. It was like a double-edged sword, Gemini. Like it was bad being involved in this and dealing with this crap and upheaval, but you're slowly, or you have started to come out of this. I think you're starting to see things from a different perspective now, Gemini. I feel also like maybe some of your, this is going to sound a little brash, but maybe your self-worth was realized. And I'm not saying that you didn't have any self-worth before, but maybe it was just a little skewed. But I feel like now it's come to a point, Gemini, where you no longer are going to accept less than that which is given. And I feel like I can't really speak much more of this because it's pretty just plain and simple. I mean, it's just bam. Like it's there, it's obvious as to what's going on here. And I want to go into like the order of the cards. So dropping the anxiety, dropping the sleepless nights, feeling like things are just so out of whack and keeping you up at night, but dropping that. But then you kind of still feel a little bit heartbroken from the situation. But I feel like it's more of heartbroken by allowing yourself to go through this, by allowing yourself to stick to this, and by accepting the buffoonery of another person, and then using your intuition and saying, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore because this is not right. Trusting in yourself and in your own decisions and your own discernment. And then finally seeing, okay, what is fair? Are the scales being weighed out properly? Is one side a little bit, more skewed or lower than the other side? And I feel like they were at one time, Gemini, like it was, one was up here, one was down here, or let's see, it was more like this, I should say. One was down here and one was up here. And you had to find that middle and bring it back together. And I feel like that's when you drop the burden, when you realize that. You were like, enough is enough. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then that's when the communication came in and said, you know what? I deserve more than this. I deserve to be happy just like everyone else. And Gemini, I feel like you did, you gave it your all. And with the Four of Pentacles here, Four of Gardens reversed, like, you're no longer holding on to how you feel. You're no longer holding on to the despair of the relationship or partnership or circumstance here. See how they all went in order of like succession. Like it was just, it's pretty plain and simple as to what's going on here. And then I feel, Gemini, like, with this is going to come you actually embodying the King of Gardens here. You could be maybe dealing with an earth sign, Capricorn, Virgo, or Taurus. But I feel like this is more you laying down your foundation and saying, you know what, I'm no longer going to allow this into my space. And like I said at the beginning of the reading, it's a wrap. Because you now see what you need and what you are worth and what you can get from this, whether it was positive or negative. Because like I always say, you never lose, you either win or you learn. And I feel like this is both, Gemini, like you won and you learned. So I mean, hey, you can't be mad at that. But the person, whoever, or the circumstance, whatever's going on here for you in particular, they're the ones that lost out in a sense, And I feel, Gemini, like with the Magician reversed here, I feel like normally this isn't a great card. This is a card of being a trickster, or a card of not feeling, when it's reversed, of not feeling like you have all the tools necessary. And I feel, Gemini, like you had to feel this. You really had to feel it. And I'm not saying that you deserve to be in this circumstance or be in this situation or in this partnership or relationship. But I feel like you had to feel like you didn't have all of the tools necessary to make this happen or to continue moving forward with this, because it wasn't moving forward, it was stagnant, I feel. And yeah, like some good came out of this, or some good is going to come out of this, because I feel, Gemini, with your next relationship or next circumstance or partnership or whatever this may be for you, the next time it comes around, you're going to be a lot smarter, a lot wiser, and you're going to actually know what's going on now. You're going to see the red flags, because maybe here you didn't see them, or maybe you chose to ignore them. And then look what comes as your last card here. Strength. You maybe could be dealing with a Leo, but strength, Gemini. Because this is what was needed for you to gain that strength. This is what was needed for you to be strong in your own decision and in your own will and in your own discernment. And it's also kind of funny, I guess we can say, it's also ironic, I should say, that since it is in the middle here in the center, it is above the High Priestess and the Ace of Wands. You see, Gemini, when you have that proper communication, but most importantly with yourself, though, because you can't lie to yourself. I guess you can, but then this is what ends up happening, Gemini, when you lie to yourself. But when you actually have it, and when you're actually truthful with yourself, and you use your intuition, and you say, you know what, I'm no longer going to allow myself to be blocked, in terms of taking the blindfolder off, basically, you end up coming out on top and end up coming out with strength. You end up coming out with knowing what is needed to be happy. And I feel really good about this, Gemini. Like I said, it's like a double-edged sword. Like, yeah, you did win and you learned, but you know, you may have been or may have become or may be a little bit tainted from this. But it'll heal in time. Everything heals in time. And it will. You may not see it now, and you may even have moments of, you know, this heartbreak. Or you may have moments where you come back to it. But I also feel, Gemini, I'm picking up, like, if this is a person for you, don't answer the calls. Block the number. Change your number if you need to. Don't entertain that, because now you moved on to a different precipice. You're on a different road. You've taken the road of independence when it comes to loving yourself. And that's what's key here. You have to love yourself, and you have to establish your own boundaries, or people are going to trample over them. And if you don't respect your own, what makes you think that you're going to check anyone who tries or attempts or does trample over your boundaries? And I feel like with strength here has a lot to do with boundaries. It has a lot to do with drawing that line in the sand and saying, I'm not crossing this, nor are you. Because you see what happens when you don't, or when you allow people to cross it, or you cross that boundary line. But be sure, Gemini, to remember to keep those boundary lines there. And also remember, Gemini, as time goes on, you know, the older you get, the more wiser you get. Sound funny, more wiser. The wiser you get, Gemini, as time goes on, those boundary lines are going to change. And they're supposed to, because that's how you know you're not stagnant in your development or in your spiritual awakening, Gemini. But for now, I feel like this karmic situation, I really feel like this is a lot of karma in it, needed to happen. And now you gained a different perspective from it. And now you are taking, you know, the will into your own hands now. And you're saying, I'm not going to accept this. I'm done. And that's great, Gemini. But I also want to say what Spirit's telling me to tell you is, don't maybe stay single for a little bit, Gemini, if this is a partnership for you, or if this is a circumstance for your situation. Don't involve yourself in that circumstance or situation again, because you need time to heal from this. This is the beginning, or the commencing of healing, which you need to, I don't want to say fully heal, because we never know when we fully heal, but you need to allow yourself to feel this and heal from it, so that if you do start a new relationship, or you do begin a circumstance similar to this, whatever it may be for you, you have learned from it, and your wounds have been at least healed, or they're at least scabbed up enough to where you want to allow it to happen again. Well, Gemini, this is really good. I feel good about this. Okay, let's pull a Jesus card, see what he has for you. So these two cards came out sideways, or they're sideways in the deck. Let's see. All things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believing you shall receive. Matthew 21:22. And love one another as I have loved you. John 13:34. You know, Gemini, even though this person has hurt you or this circumstantial situation, you must look at it for what it is, and I'm glad that you moved on from it. But you must love those that have hurt you. And I know that that's weird to say, and I know that that's very contrary to how you feel right now, and it's understandable. But imagine how they feel when they look in the mirror, Gemini, and they realize what they've done. And also when you're moving on and living your life, and you show this person that it's no longer bothering you, because you don't need to purposely do that because you're going to reach that point, then they'll feel that much worse. Where they say, oh my God, I can't believe that I did that to them, but look how strong they are that they're moving on, meaning you. And when you believe, Gemini, that you do deserve better, you'll get it. And especially if you pray on it, Gemini, whether that's to God, to your higher power, to your higher consciousness, whatever the case may be for you, who or what you confide in. It's all about love, Gemini, but it has to start with you. You have to love yourself and love your own morals and your own ethics and love who you are and what you embody. Because then you can't give that love to someone else unless you're sure of what you have for yourself. It's a requirement, it's a must. And if you don't do that, Gemini, or if you maybe don't take this as a learning curve in terms of, where it went wrong, not what happened, you're going to move on to the next relationship, to the next circumstance or situation, and you're going to repeat it. And I feel like that's why justice came up here too, because it was like, remember, forget it enough to get over it, but remember it enough so it doesn't happen again. You're going to have to remember that, Gemini, and keep that quote in your mindset, okay? And I also want to say, Gemini, I'm kind of picking up like with the Nine of Swords here reverse, like record your dreams. You may see, some kind of pattern going on with your dreams. I mean, not like saying that, I don't want you to write a lot because then that's when you get kind of bored, but just jot them down like bullet points, answer the who, what, when, where, and whys, that kind of thing, and just write them down. But you must do it like first thing in the morning because then that's when you really remember your dreams the most. Or even record them, vocally, and keep that on your phone. I mean, you can do that as well, but I feel like jotting it down or writing it down will be a little bit better for you, Gemini. And I also say write it down, don't type it. I mean, whatever works for you, but I feel like writing it down would be a little bit better because then as you're writing the words, you remember them more. You remember what happened. It's a better memory solidifier. Okay, Gemini, so check out Matthew 21 and check out John 13, specifically Matthew 21:22 or specifically John 13:34. Okay, Gemini, this is pretty good. I hate to say that you went, or hate to see, I should say, that you went through this situation, or to hear that you went through this situation, but I feel like there's a lot to learn from it. And it's only going to amount to one thing, and that's strength for you, Gemini. Okay, if you'd like to book a private reading, Gemini, check the description box and we can see and peer into, how we can move forward into this. You can also book an astrology reading with me too. And we can look at your chart and see where, some areas of concern or some areas that need to be worked on or maybe viewed or looked at a little bit deeper. And the astrology reading comes with the tarot reading as well. So check the description box. There's a link there to the website and all the information there too. And while you're on the website, on the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little chat bubble there. You can chat with me there. Sometimes I get notifications of people that are on my site, and I'll go ahead and, ask you, hope you're finding everything okay, and please let me know if you have any questions and things of that nature. Like a little red bubble will pop up on top of the chat bubble. So look out for that, okay, if you're on this site. Yeah, let's book a reading and see where to move on from here. Let's see what the lessons are, where, what was it to learn and how to move forward, the best method or the best trajectory in terms of moving forward. Okay, Gemini, you can do this. Stay strong. This is what really matters at the end. And love, Gemini. Loving yourself so you can love another person. Especially if that other person reciprocates that love, Gemini. You can love yourself enough to understand what you need. They understand what you need. You can give them back that love, Gemini. And it can be a positive, reciprocal relationship. Okay, Gemini? We'll see you. Be good.